we've had to stop a few orders. Exactly like you said, there's been people ordering 100 links with exact match anchor text. They're being very 2006 about it.
Right.
They're just thinking we have to get 100 more links than our competitor. We have to use the exact match anchors. So we tell them, look, we're not going to process this order because it's dangerous.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the SEO Entrepreneur Show. I have Joe Davies on the show. Super excited to dive in. He is one of the founders of Fat Joe, and they started in 2012, and they've been around for quite some time. If you're in the SEO space, you've been here for a while, you definitely know who they are. So thank you so much for coming on, Joe. Appreciate it.
Oh, Nathan, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, super excited. So for the people that don't, know your background in particular, I think, your brand Fat Joe is very well known in the SEO space, but maybe you personally, what led you to Fat Joe? What's your background?
So I've been into SEO since maybe 2006, working in agencies and in-house. And at the time we come up with the idea for Fat Joe, we were working in an agency, me and my now business partner, and we were working. We were getting clients. My business partner, also called Joe, he was more of a sales guy, so he was going out and speaking to the clients. I was the head of SEO, so I was delivering the SEO essentially. And what we quickly realised was we were getting so many clients, but we couldn't deliver all of the SEO to all these clients. So we had a bit of a problem. We could either hire in-house, which we tried to do, and we was trying to hire link builders, trying to hire content writers, and it took so long to do. We couldn't find the right people, or when we did hire the right people, they weren't skilled enough. So we went down the route of outsourcing. And back then it was kind of Upwork, Fiverr had just got started. I think it was actually called Odesk. That's how long ago it was, the old Upwork. And then there was people in forums. The old SEO forums were really big back in the day, and there's a lot of people doing services. And we were using, maybe 20 different freelancers for different services, whether it was content, link building, and we got what we called vendor anxiety. So we were quite anxious about, vendors going missing, delivering inconsistent work, delivering work in spreadsheets, weird formats. And then when we needed support or something was wrong, we couldn't get in touch with these vendors or freelancers. So we quickly thought, there's a need here to create a real premium platform for agencies where they go to one place, get all their SEO needs, whether it be content, link building, press releases, infographics, and they can go and speak to a real customer support person. They can get the reports delivered in a nice, easy way, white label. They can just pass it to their clients. So that was where the idea for Fat Joe was born. It was born out of a need, really. It was to scratch our own itch. So that was the idea of Fat Joe.
Right. Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense now that you say it. So yeah, the origin story. So at what point did you guys realize you had a viable business model in Fat Joe?
So we were working behind the scenes. While we was working at the agency, we were kind of working on the side after work, around my business partner's mom and dad's house. We were kind of doing a night shift, and we put it out there. We had our first domain, fatjoe.co.uk. We were only servicing UK agencies at the time. We didn't think it was going to be a big deal, so that's why we just thought UK agencies, let's keep it simple. And once we got maybe 4 or 5 agencies on board, and it was paying us more than our salary, we started to think we need to really think about how big this can be. Our agencies really looking for this kind of thing. Do agencies in the US need this thing? So we very quickly handed our notes in our current position, and we told our boss what we was doing. And it turned out great because our boss uses us. Our ex-boss used us as an agency, and we delivered links and content for him. It was within 6 months of starting, we quickly realised it was going to be viable, and we left our jobs and started doing Fat Joe full time.
Right. Yeah. So I'm really interested to hear more about how you built the platform, and then obviously the internal systems too that you had to build. Because how many orders do you guys fulfill a month? I would love to hear that number. You don't have to be specific, but like broadly, how many numbers are you fulfilling? I know it's a huge amount.
Yeah, it's within the region of maybe 3,000 orders,
Okay.
3,000
Yeah.
orders a month. That's across link building, content, um, press releases, Harrow.
Right.
Within those orders, there's multiple orders. So one order could be 100 links. If you
Yes.
get what I mean? So um, it's a lot. It's a lot. In regards to the systems and the processes, at the start we were using no code stuff. We were using
Mm.
spreadsheets, Google Sheets. We absolutely took it to the limit. There was a point where we was opening a Google Sheet and we had to wait 5 minutes for all the orders to load, until we realised, right, we need a developer to custom code our own system. These days, you've got things like SPP, which is a brilliant piece of software
Right.
for any agencies or any, link seller or content seller to quickly, start a business and start getting those orders in and delivering those orders. Back then, we didn't have anything like that, so we had to create our own system for it. And today, it's still the same system. Obviously, it's been worked on a hell of a lot. Our developers now are trying to recode a brand new system to bring it up to date. Obviously, 2012 is ancient in developer terms, so it needs to freshen up. But yeah, I'd say most of our success hangs on the processes that our system has. It facilitates everything from an order coming in and the site's being chosen by one person, and then once the site's chosen, it goes to a writer. A writer automatically, once they've written it, it goes into the system. It automatically goes to the blogger. Once the blogger's published it, it automatically goes to the client. So that there's a production line that's very automated, and because of that, we can sell obviously at reseller prices. Agencies can mark our services up, reasonably well with a good margin. So yeah, the processes are the most important to us, and we still find things to improve every single day. With the introduction of AI this year, we've found some other things we could probably use, but it never ends the improvements.
Right. So when you started, were you guys responsible for the front end and the back end, or you had a developer early on that handled the front end and the back end?
Yeah, so we were responsible for the front end. We didn't get a developer until end of year one, maybe year and a half into it. We were doing everything through Gravity forms on WordPress and then Google Sheets to manage the orders. You imagine we had about 10 writers back then, each with their own Google spreadsheet. We had a spreadsheet full of bloggers. We had the orders coming in through WordPress. We were just, growth hacking our way to the point where we needed a system. When the system come into play, obviously we had to build it so that the system took payments, and then when the orders go into the system, it automatically goes to the next person who needs to do their job. It's a bit like ClickUp, where one person does something, then it goes to the next person that needs to do something. So it's that kind of process.
Okay. Yeah. That's so there's a high level of automation occurring then. So it's definitely, that's helped you be able to have that scalability, because obviously being able to manage that many orders with a lot of variance among the orders on top of it, you're going to need some automation to make that happen. So at this point, is the developer responsible for maintaining that system, or who's responsible for making sure that system is well oiled and working well?
Yeah, so we have a big developer team now. When I say big, it's bigger than it was for many years. There's around 7 people in our dev team now. There's a front end team, there's a back end team. Obviously, the front end team are making sure that the user experience is really good, making it look nice. And then the back end team are doing all the things in the background. They're trying to fix all the old code. So yeah, we're hoping by the end of next year we've got something more up to date with that. But yeah, I think it's a big system. It's we don't realise how much we've built on top of it over the years. And when new developers come in there, they're like, this is crazy. We need to bring this up to date. So yeah, it's quite a big operation, the dev side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even doing an upgrade would be a massive operation as well, I would imagine.
Yes. Yeah. 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 It's been about 2 years that we've been upgrading so far.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So when you were first starting, what was your main source of acquisition? So obviously agencies, SEO service providers is kind of your main ideal customer. How did you acquire that initial? I know you said you based kind of relationship based, but how did you kind of get the first 100 clients on board?
Yeah, we had obviously no budget in the early days, so we were going into forums, and there was a few big SEO forums back in the day, like Warrior Forum and Wicked Fire, and
right.
Even Black Hat World wasn't all Black Hat. There was a services section, and you could sell your services on there. We quickly gained traction through that. We got some very good SEO rankings very quickly as well, for things like UK link building service and UK link provider. Like those kind of terms. UK guest post provider. So our first 100 customers, I would say, were kind of organically, but very quickly, once we had the budget, we used ads, and Google Ads being our main source of acquisition. I come from I've done some Google Ads for clients in the past, so it was quite handy knowing how to handle Google Ads, and how to put the keywords in, not waste budget, and put the right keywords in, double down on keywords that are converting, put negative keywords in. And very quickly from Google Ads, we managed to secure new customers with a decent acquisition cost. And the thing is with agencies, if you get one agency, you've actually got 40, 50 clients.
Right.
So they're worth a hell of a lot. If you get one end client, you've only got one end client.
Right.
So we focus on agencies because it's kind of like the one domino that knocks down all of them. You get one agency, and then you've got all their clients. And generally, agencies, once they found a good provider that they love, they stick with you for a long, long time, because their results and their clients are relying on us. So
right.
It's a good model, and we're glad we focused on agency from the start, and we continue to gear everything around what they need.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's definitely the one huge advantage of your services is that reliability of deliverables, because, I teach the, link building side inside my training, and it's difficult to get those links in a systematic way. Right. I mean, it is not an easy process whatsoever. I mean, everyone can really do it with a good process, but the problem is just when you have a client, you got about 30 days to get those links delivered. That's a pretty scary thing for a lot of agencies.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a huge value. Now with your Google Ads, are you still running Google Ads today?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. We're still running Google Ads today. It's our biggest marketing cost. It's our biggest acquisition channel. We just find it very, very, it's logical. It's logical for us. We spend X and we get X return. Things like Facebook ads and Twitter ads and Reddit ads and all the other things like sponsorships of conferences, they're a little bit more ambiguous of how well they work. We can't really track the ROI as well. So we like to spend a lot of money on Google Ads because we can just see, logically the return on that.
Right. And so attribution is really, really clear when it comes to Google Ads.
Sure. More clear. I mean, it could be better, but it's
right.
It's more clear.
Yeah. So when you're running the ads, are you putting some sort of special offer in the ads, or is it you just going straight ad, just like this is what we do? You can come on, or are you giving them some sort of incentive to come on?
Yeah, we used to run offers, but we don't anymore. We just found it got the wrong type of clients. So we tend to stop running any offers anymore unless it's Black Friday, because we have a lot of fun with that one. But we used to do like a 10% discount for your first order or something like that. But generally now we just like to, if people are interested in their agency, they see that our offering, and they'll order. We want to make sure we're the right person for them. what we found is with people, when we did a lot of offers, people were asking us, are we doing an offer this month? Are we doing an offer this week? And a lot of our competitors do offers. So what we found, like these people are just jumping between whoever's got the biggest discount of the month.
Right.
And that for us just wasn't the type of client we wanted. So we kind of like made a decision to go, let's stay, true to what we want to do here and the clients we want to serve. And let's just keep our price as the price. Let's not mess around with, with anything fancy to bring in, discount hunters.
Yeah, it's fascinating how, doing offers can really change the dynamic and the type of person that you attract, like even for my business, like as soon as we increased the investment on our program, it changed the whole dynamic of the people that were joining. In fact, the people that were joining were getting better results because they invested more. Right. So it's kind of a weird thing that occurs. So when you run that Google ad, let's say it's for link building services. Okay. You run that Google ad, they go to a landing page, and you're trying to convert them there. But let's say we know statistically, maybe 3%, 3 to 5% will convert. So what happens with the other 95 to 97% of people?
Yeah, we don't do anything that's kind of to capture like any lost leads or anything like that. We kind of work as an e-commerce store. Okay. So if someone's searching for an iPhone case and they land on a website that sells iPhone cases, we do what that website would do. They just offer the iPhone cases. Maybe, we've tried exit pop-ups and things like that in the past, but we've just never really focused on it because our services are kind of low ticket. When you look at each item individually, we don't really have that high ticket, capture every visit, squeeze the juice out of every single person looking at your website.
Sure.
We don't really have that. We just accept that some people will order there and then, some people won't. But what we do, we drop a cookie and we follow them around Facebook and Instagram. Okay. We've got retargeting, which is really heavy. And we find that we really focus our ads on agencies as well. So we say link building for agencies, this for agencies, blogger outreach for agencies, exclusive for agencies. We try and make that click very validated. So, I mean, it is a good point. I think we probably should try and squeeze some more out of the visitors, maybe offer an email, subscribe, get a price list or something like that. We've tried little things in the past, but we've just kind of stuck to what was working and kept our page very simple with the offering, the packages, and we try and get them with the retargeting.
Yeah, and I'm assuming once they are off of your site, now they're on Facebook or wherever else they've gone. Now attribution starts to get really difficult. So, I mean, it's even trying to, we try to do attribution for our applications, and it's like, someone could have watched one of my YouTube videos, right? And then they went to Google and searched about something, and then they ended up on Twitter, and then they ended up on LinkedIn. And then by the time it's done, like, what was the original source of that lead? Right? I mean, it's so difficult.
It's really hard. And even if you've got all the data, it's very hard to even then fairly attribute. You can say the first one maybe should get the most, but then maybe the last one was the one that convinced them.
Right.
And then maybe you could do a data-driven one or a decayed one. It's so hard. We've just kind of surrendered to the fact that we just need to assign a budget to each channel and just try and spend that budget. And then if the graph is going up and to the right, we'll just keep doing it. Right. We've hired like people before, data analysts and conversion experts, to look at our data and tell us where to spend and what our data means. But we just come away even more confused. We've used Hyros. Have you heard of that?
What was it?
Hyros.
No,
Hyros.
No.
It's like
yeah. Sorry, Alex Becker's. That's
the one.
Right.
So that's meant to solve this problem, but to be honest, it gave me a bit more of I was just overwhelmed with what to do next. So I'll just stick to what I know and just we spend X and we kind of getting a good return, so we just keep doing that.
Yeah, and I feel like out of all the channels, Google Ads is probably the clearest. It's definitely not perfect, right? But I mean, among the ones that are available, I mean, even SEO is so messy, right? Someone comes organically, then they go 20 different ways to eventually end up back at you. So it just seems like at this point, it's more of a matter of just kind of touching in each kind of channel, being present in a lot of channels. Unfortunately, like
Yes.
I wish it wasn't like that. Like you could just do email or you could just do SEO, but like those days are pretty much over because it's just the way people
Yeah.
buy now is so erratic. I mean, it's just
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, and obviously, depending on what you sell, obviously the journey could be shorter or longer,
Yeah.
but I think for what you guys sell, it's probably a long journey in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
But I think that's smart. So you try to think of it as like an e-commerce play. So I would assuming you're running ads specifically for like your SEO content service or your link
Yes.
building service
Yes.
or your Haro service, like specific ads just
Yes.
for those services. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Those kind of ads have a shorter conversion time because people are looking for a service and then they just want to buy it. The more the sort of higher end of or maybe top of funnel keywords like white label SEO company or SEO reseller, those are the ones that you might need like a sign up page or maybe do a webinar kind of deal.
Right.
We've never gone down that route because we're just kind of like, we're not those kind of marketers yet. I mean, maybe we'll go down that route at some point, but we've just stuck to we're an e-commerce platform. Buy what you need, as much as you want, as little as you want. You don't need to speak to us. You don't need a meeting, and we hope you enjoy the product.
Right.
And that's it.
So tell me, let's switch gears and tell me more about your business partnership. So how do you guys, like, what are your roles in the business between you two?
So in the early years, obviously we had no experience of running businesses before, so we didn't know what an org chart was. We didn't know people were meant to do certain things. We were just doing everything together. Right. We hired our first employee maybe 6 months in, and then we had a small team for a few years. But it was always like a flat structure of company. Everyone just sort of did a little bit of everything. Me and my business partner were both acting CEOs, so we both just made the decisions. We had discussions, sometimes arguments, about what should go next, what we should do. But it's worked really, really well, for a long, long time before we realised, we need to actually divide our work up and get a bit more structured. So when we had a bigger team, maybe 5-6 years in, we had someone responsible for all the writers. We had someone responsible for all of the outreach. We had someone responsible for all of the customer support. We had someone responsible for all of the vendors and the services and that kind of thing. And then between me and my business partner, I was focused more on the marketing. So things like the ads, things like our own SEO, the conferences, any sort of PR stuff, videos. I was more involved in that kind of thing. And my business partner was more involved in the tech side. So he's not from a tech background, but he had a very clear understanding of what process a customer needs to go through, what process every admin in the system needs to go through to deliver a piece of content or links, for example. So he was very much, they call it like a product manager or a product owner. So he was looking after the dev team and getting that up to speed. So that's how it stands today. I'm doing more of the marketing stuff. My business partner's doing more of the tech side.
Interesting. Yeah, I want to kind of go back to a point you said about the, getting into it with your partner, because I think sometimes like people have this vision of having a partner and they think it's just all going to be sunshine and rainbows.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
actually, I would argue that it's actually better to have a partner who challenges you. Right. That's much better.
Yes.
So like my partner and me, I mean, we're 99% of the time we're in agreement, but we have the occasional time we're like, no, like we're going to battle it out over this one thing for a long time, but it's not a combative thing, right? It's just a part of the process. We both understand, we're trying to go for the same outcome, right? So there's no hard feelings. It's not personal.
Yeah.
So how do you build that relationship so that you can have that kind of, really transparent conversations with a partner to make sure that it's for the betterment of the business ultimately?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It really is a tough one. And you're right. It is better to have a business partner that challenges you, because the worst thing that can happen is you have a business partner that thinks or does things exactly the same as you, because that means you can go you can just go all one way. It's like political parties, it's a good job there's a few of them, and you can, you end up somewhere in the middle of a bit of both. With business partners, I know that I'm very, very different to my business partner. He's very logical, process driven. I'm very more creative and more dreamy and thinking more of the long-term vision. I'm thinking of impossible things we can do, and he's sort of bringing me back down to earth and saying, no, we can't do that. We've got to think of this, this, and this first. So that kind of works. When you get into these kind of arguments, I suppose it's very important for both people to take responsibility of how they're reacting to stuff. Sometimes I can forget that maybe my business partner is just thinking for the best of the business. He's not trying to do anything against me. He's not trying to say that I'm wrong or I'm an idiot. He just may have a different opinion for the better of the business. And the same goes the other way. I know very well when I'm arguing a point, it's not because I want to make someone feel stupid or because I want to say that their idea is bad or whatever. I just want something for the better of the business. And I think the more both parties remember that, the less it can get. It never gets nasty, but it doesn't have to be so unpleasant, which it does at times. Any kind of partnership, even, what girlfriends, wives, everyone has this kind of thing where they might disagree about something. You've got to kind of not let ego get in the way, and you've got to kind of think, for the better of the business, we're both on this mission to do something bigger than us. So let's not fight over little things. And I've kind of learned sometimes if something isn't so important to me, I'll kind of let some things go. It's kind of like, that's not really going to matter. Rather than me arguing something out for the sake of it, I'll let some things go, and maybe that's the same for him as well. So you just have to. It's a game of tug and war. It's hard, but I think sharing the glory and sharing also the dark times is something that's really good. I would hate to have all the glory. I would hate to have all the horrible bits that go with it as well. So I always recommend a partner. If you can find someone complementing, don't find someone the same as you, because if you find someone the same as you, you're in trouble, because you're both going to go too far in one direction, and you need to meet somewhere in the middle, I think.
Yeah, you just described basically my partner and me, because I'm the one who's like always like, let's do this crazy thing, and he's like, whoa, slow down. So and it's good though, because sometimes I do get it. I'm so excited about a concept or an idea or an opportunity that I want to just go after it, but then I bring it to him and he's like, whoa, what about da 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 da? And I'm like, that's true. So it brings you back down a little bit. Then you can kind of come to a solution that kind of meets in that middle ground, which ends up being better usually,
Yeah, exactly.
So I can tell you though, like you probably, you're lucky because you got this from early on. But for me, when I started my business, it was just me. Right. So when you're in your own echo chamber, and it's all you, it's not the same as having someone who you can kind of go back and forth with it's just a different experience altogether. So, so
that's right.
Yeah. So you have over 100 team members now, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So if you count all of our vendors and contractors, writers, outreach team, it's well over 100.
Okay.
We've got core staff. So we've got the staff that's based in an office in the UK, and that's around 13, 14 people. I always forget it's around 14, 15 people. And that's made up of support team, dev team, marketing team, and the operations. So it's quite a small core team, and then the rest of it is built up of all the freelancers that get the work done.
Yeah. So obviously working with people, what does your kind of week look like? Do you guys have like a meeting cadence? Like, what does that look like?
So we don't have meetings really. We don't really like meetings. So we're kind of against that. We kind of have like one-on-one catch-ups with the staff that we need to. In terms of my week, I'm looking after the marketing team. So I may check in with our head of SEO, our head of content, a couple of times a week to make sure the content's on track, the videos are going out, Our own link building, our own marketing is going on. I have some guys that help with the PPC and the ads, and I check in with those guys because for a very long time, and mostly I still run the ads because it's kind of like our baby. It's the thing that's like helping us get the clients, and
Right.
we've tried agencies before to run the ads, but it hasn't worked out. So I do spend a lot of time looking at our advertising channel. I check in with our head of operations maybe every day to make sure everything's running smoothly. And the production team, which is made up of support, customer support, and people that look after the writers, the vendors, they are very self-sufficient. They their operation is very, very easy to understand because as orders come in, they just have to fulfill these orders. So that runs itself. The guys have got a very good structure there. So yeah, it's very minimal touch from us really. We're just looking at the strategy and the vision of the company. We're looking at new services that we want to release. We've always got something in a pipeline that we want to release to our customers. Sometimes, there's a lot of services that don't get released. We spend 6 months developing it, and then we do some tests and they don't work out, or it's just going to be too hard to deliver, so we don't deliver it. Most recently we launched a blog content plan service, and that took up a lot of my time because we were just testing, thinking of the different ways customers could order it, thinking of the different ways people could get it delivered. So yeah, things like that take up most of my week. And in regards to my business partner, he's looking at the tech side. So obviously going through user flows of the front end, looking at the back end, the admin side. So yeah, that takes up a lot of his time.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask you is more on the SEO side of this, because obviously, you guys have processed probably hundreds of thousands of orders at this point over the last 10 years. You must have a lot of data about SEO, right? I mean, you must really see some stuff going on, because that's a lot of links, that's a lot of content, that's a lot of different websites, that's a lot of different moving parts. So have you seen anything that really stands out to you as far as what really works in SEO based on all this data you have? I mean, you have so much. So
yeah, well, we don't really have data of our clients because our clients are SEO agencies. We don't have their data. Do you get what I mean? So we don't actually see the results, and we're not really asking for it either. So we don't get intimate with those results. So agencies come to us for a campaign idea. They pick it themselves from the website. It's a self-serve platform. So we don't see that kind of thing. But what we do see is the kind of agencies that are ordering from us, and the way that they're set up. So some of our biggest clients, are really small teams, like 3 or 4 people. And we know just from the amount that they're ordering through us, they must be doing 8 figures a year, from such a small team. And what we've found is, speaking to these agencies, is they've realized that, this new model of keeping a really small core team of maybe 3 account managers, 4 account managers, and a tech guy, can be all you need to service 100 clients. Because if you can leverage the outsourced providers, such as, not to plug us, but Fat Joe or any of the multiple out there, you can keep a really small team of thinkers, people who come up with a campaign, people who talk to the client, manage client expectations, deliver beautiful reports and talk over it with the client. And then most of the work is done off-site. Most of the work is done, with agencies such as ours. And that way you can keep a really small and scalable agency that can weather any storm. Pandemic hits or recession hits, you've only got 4 or 5 people. It's okay, you can carry on. We've seen in recent times many agencies who take on a lot of people when the times are good. They're hiring link builders in-house, content writers in-house. Things happen like recession, things happen like AI. AI comes out and that wipes out, a couple of big agencies recently because all the writers are in-house, and it just causes a bit of a nightmare. It's not very scalable. So yeah, we see that kind of thing. We see the operational side. We see those kind of trends. In terms of SEO and what people they're ordering, we only speak to a handful of agencies because we try and sort of do a little bit of account management with our real high end customers and help them out a little bit. We see that what's working for them is really simple. They keep it minimal, so they're not doing anything complicated. They're ordering a handful of links for their clients, whether it's blogger outreach or niche edits. They may be doing a press release every few months, and what we're seeing is they're telling us that that's getting them the best results. They're not overdoing it. They're not ordering 50 to 100 links. They're just ordering maybe 10 really good links per month, high DA links, and a press release every so often, maybe a Harrow for their higher end clients. So yeah, we think simple is working the best these days. And obviously, if you've got SEO clients, you should be encouraging real marketing, real world marketing, not, you shouldn't be focusing all of your efforts on these supplemental surgical links, like guest posts or anything like that. You should be looking at ways that the client can attract natural links as well. And we encourage that. We talk about that all the time in our blog posts, that SEO isn't all about just ordering links. SEO is creating a real brand for your client. So
yeah. I mean, I think you guys probably deal with the challenge that anyone can buy your services, right?
Yeah.
Anyone, no matter the skill level, can buy your services. And there is an art and science to buying links. It's not as simple as you just go in, you buy the links and you get the results. And so I sometimes have to remind people of this, that you can't just go and buy links. That's not there's a lot of stuff that has to happen before you do that. And so I was actually had this conversation with in the academy a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling them that I've used every link vendor that exists. I mean, you guys, the obvious competitors, and I've gotten results with every single one. So it's not the vendor, it's the strategy. Guys, I know you guys do your best to try to educate and get people to do, because I know you have some little tips there when you're ordering, and I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
But is there ever a time where you see that someone's really doing something super aggressive and you're like, whoa, maybe that's not a great idea to do 100% exact match, to a product page or something? So, so how do you handle that part? Because for me, if I had your business model, I'd be scared of that, right? I'd be scared of people coming in and using it the wrong way, just because they just don't know any better, right? So how do you handle it if that's even possible?
Yeah, we do. We've put in a process to approve every single order, and I think it's on us really to make sure someone isn't doing something very, very stupid. We've had to stop a few orders, exactly like you said. There's been people ordering 100 links with exact match anchor text. They're being very 2006 about it.
Right.
They're just thinking we have to get 100 more links than our competitor. We have to use the exact match anchors. So we tell them, look, we're not going to process this order because it's dangerous. We just don't recommend it. We recommend you order no more than 20, 30 links. Let's start very, very slowly. Mix up the anchor text. With us, we even say, leave your anchor text blank and our writer will come up with a natural anchor text for you, which just makes it so easy for the writers then to include it just in a natural way, like a blogger would include it. Obviously, we try not to touch the consulting side at all. So we're not going to tell agencies what to do. They're the experts, not us. So we say to them, look, if something is a little bit on the risky side and on the aggressive side, depends how aggressive it is, but we may drop them a note to say, are you sure you want to do this? And then some of them say, yeah, it's fine. We know what we're doing. And they go ahead and do it. If we've got sometimes we don't have agencies order from us. They may be businesses or, very small businesses and the owners doing their own SEO. We try and help them out a little bit and just say, look, do you need some consulting? We've got some agencies we can recommend you to. We pass that lead on to them. So yeah, we turn away a lot of orders that are like that. I think it's our responsibility really to make sure that we're not facilitating really bad practices. But if an agency really wants to do it, we'll let them do it. That's fine.
Right. Right. Yeah, you're obviously on the business of babysitting the agencies. So
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I know one thing in particular you guys do, which is actually I think is very good, is you don't allow for geo-targeted anchor text, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
and what so
We
would you mind explaining the rationale just for people that don't understand why that's not a great idea?
Yeah, so any geo-targeted anchor text is usually it's usually just looks very spammy when it's put into a piece of content. So if you've got a piece of content talking about plumbing, and then the anchor text is Barcelona plumber, it's very hard to fit that in without it looking very, very just spammy.
Yeah.
Not only that, if the blog isn't a geo-targeted blog, if the blog isn't a blog from Barcelona, the blogger doesn't want to talk about Barcelona plumbers. They may link to a Barcelona plumber, but they don't want to say it in their anchor text. But this extrapolates out to any kind of anchor text. Anything commercial like buy this or best this. We try and stay away from that, and we really recommend all of our clients to use just the most natural anchor text. We put out an update, I think it's about a month ago, where our writers can now choose the anchor text themselves, and we encourage that in the order form now. It's been a lot better since, because we think these days anchor text plays much less of a role in your ranking. We've got to think about what's on your page, the topic of your website overall. Internal linking can power up a page. If you really want to get involved in keywords, you don't need to do it from the anchor text of your links. You might as well play it as safe as possible, and that's the kind of angle we go from.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, and my favorite, is when I see people slam an anchor text and it's like plumber St. Louis, because like in the context of an article that makes no sense. Like it's such a massive footprint. So, but yeah, I think the point that you made, that it's you're looking at the relevance not just on the topic level, but also the geo-targeted level. And like the only time it would make sense for me to link St. Louis plumber is on the St. Louis plumber website or some sort of St. Louis home website or something. That would make sense, right? That would make sense.
Yeah,
but if it's just
a directory would be fine,
right,
to have that kind of anchor. I mean, I still wouldn't recommend it, but that would be kind of fine. Something that's like a navigational click. But if it's within the content, it just don't make sense.
Yeah. And that's a very good point. Okay. Yeah. Let's keep moving here. So I wanted to ask you a very specific, funny question. So you didn't have fatjoe.com for a long time, and for obvious reasons, Fat Joe here in the US, a very well-known rapper, had that domain, correct? So how did you, I would love to know how you facilitated that business engagement.
Well, to give some context, we actually didn't know anything about this rapper when we started. We had no idea there was a rapper. We knew the songs, What's Love and everything, but we just didn't think about it. So, the name come from us looking through mafia names, and for some reason, I don't know why we were looking at mafia names, but one of them was Fat Joe. And because our names were Joe, we decided to go ahead and call it that. Obviously, the .co.uk was available, and then we moved to .co for a few years. And then, we really wanted this fatjoe.com. And the rapper had it for a long, long time, but it looked like he let it expire or he let it drop, and it ended up in the hands of some Chinese domain broker who we couldn't get in touch with. And it maybe took about a year or even longer than that. We couldn't get in touch with. We was emailing everything from the whois and going to different domain registrars. We ended up speaking to this domain broker. He was a contact on a forum somewhere, and he was like, "Look, I can help you out with this." Obviously, he took a fee, and then we went back and forth with this Chinese domain broker, and we ended up on this fee, which was mid 5 figures to get that domain. Which I don't know. I don't know if the rapper would have let it go for that cheap, but we decided, if we want to be serious about this, we needed a .com. So we ended up getting that domain, and ever since we've been a lot more appealing to the US, which is our target market really. So we're happy we got it in the end.
Yeah. So did you consolidate your domains into the .com, or do you still have the different variations?
Yeah, we 301'd all the old domains into the .com, and we just everything's focused on US now,
Okay.
so we just have one website.
And did that affect you in the United Kingdom as far as organic search?
As with every migration, that there's always a hiccup of traffic and that kind of thing. It kind of affected us for a while, and I think we do rank a little bit better in the US than the UK now, and it used to be the other way around.
Right.
But the US, I mean, in comparison to the UK, the US is just like it's 10x the amount of agencies. So we was happy to take that loss there, and we're barely scratching the surface of the US agencies at the minute. That's one of our focuses now, is to just get more and more agencies in. So yeah, we was happy to take that loss of the UK.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the reason I asked is because I've really seen that TLDs have a huge impact on rankings. So like specific country TLDs. Like, so I was wondering to see if there would be a huge, and what I would expect, honestly.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
in fact, I had a lead that I talked to, and they had a .com, but they were trying to target the UK, and I'm like, you're gonna have a hard time beating the .co.uk TLDs, even though you have a stronger domain. Like Google, like these days, Google really loves relevance. And that was one thing I wanted to ask you too about the anchor text side of that, because I think there's this. I think a lot of old techniques people still believe are what you should do today, right? So like when in 2000, from like 2011 to 2014, like that's when I was so aggressive with anchor text. I could just slam a page with multiple keyword rich anchors, and you'd see a
Yeah,
lift. Like in 30 days, you'd see a lift.
yeah,
But now if you do that, it just leaves a massive footprint, and it's extremely dangerous. But I
yeah,
think now, I think people give a little too much credit to Google's algorithms sometimes. Like, oh,
yeah,
it's so smart. It's so I think that's
yeah,
up
yeah,
for debate. But I will say one thing that it's definitely gotten better at is understanding relevance.
yeah,
So, and I think like the way that a lot of us used to operate, kind of grayer hat, was we would use the anchor text as the vehicle for driving relevance to the page. But I just feel
yes,
at this point, because of all the algorithms that Google has now, like it's able, especially because of NLP as well, right? Which is a slightly newer technology, it can understand pages much better. So I feel like I'm not saying you don't need the keyword rich anchor, like it still has a lot of power when used appropriately, but I don't think
yeah.
it's needed as much because Google has gotten a lot better at kind of extracting the ideas out of that page to understand, what it's all about. Do you agree with that, or have you seen the same thing?
Yeah, yeah, I do agree with that, and I think we might as well act as if Google is really, really clever. We might as well act as if Google's
Yes, true.
algorithm is absolutely amazing, knows what you're thinking, everything. We might as well act that way,
Yeah,
because one day, one day it might get to that point. All these theories, people are saying, Google ain't that clever. You can stuff anchor text, you can do this. One day you might be caught and the carpet's pulled from under your feet, because
yeah,
they've changed the algorithm. It's got slightly better. So I always act in the mindset of Google might as well be really clever, and they have got all these advanced algorithms. And I always think, what would happen in real life? So if a blogger was linking to your website, what would happen in real life? And if you look at anyone's anchor text profile, for example, Apple's or Amazon's, or even pick some smaller brands, look at their anchor text profile, look at how bloggers really link to them.
yeah,
They don't link with the keyword of what they are. They link with the brand every time. It's brand.com or brand. That's it. That's how every blogger links naturally. They never link to something with this perfectly written anchor text of what the
right.
page is about. It just doesn't happen. And I think Google know that. I don't think, it's a problem if you do it now and then or use some of your anchors like that. If it's still a signal, you might as well play that risk for a very small part of your links. But for the most part, I think if people really want to tell Google what the page is about, make sure your on page is perfectly on topic. Use a tool like Surf for SEO and get that relevance in there on the page. But then internal links, go crazy with internal links. You
Yeah,
can use your keyword anchors as much as you want with those internal links. You'll never get penalised with that. It's your house. So, you know, I think people should really move away from that, because it's the easiest way as well for Google to detect anything unnatural going on. If you've got an undistributed or an unnatural anchor text variation, most of your anchors are coming in on something with a keyword. I would say that's a very easy way for Google to algorithmically penalize or at least ignore those links. But then if a human's looking at that, take a look at your own website in Ahrefs and look at your anchor text distribution. If you was one of Google's engineering team, would you accept that as a natural anchor text profile? And you've got to look, answer yourself honestly and think, do I need to just build some natural anchors from now on?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like you pretty much can't go wrong with branded anchor text unless you have an exact match domain, right? I mean, if you exact match domain, that's a different story. But for most brands, I mean, I think people don't realize you can drive branded anchor text to an internal page. It's not just hitting the homepage. Like you can hit these internal pages. And I feel like that's kind of the safest play, other than maybe some generic anchors. But we try to vary it up. Like let's say we're going after St. Louis plumber. Like sometimes we'll just link just St. Louis. Or sometimes we'll link just plumber. Other times we'll link we'll find the founder's name and we'll link his name. So Nathan Gotch or Joe Davies. Because I do exactly what you do. I think about if I was linking out myself, if I wrote this article, how would I link out? And if I go and look at my articles, like on gotchaseo.com, like the way I link out, sometimes it's keyword rich. It makes sense for it to link out, but usually it's just whatever makes sense within the context of the article, not like payday loans all of a sudden out of nowhere, so it's always, and I think Google obviously can analyze the footprint of the anchor text. Like they're looking at certain things. Okay, anchor text matches the keyword on this page. So therefore there's some sort of manipulation going on here. But I also think it's like how the anchor text fits contextually within that article as well. Yeah. Right. So like if you link out St. Louis plumber and it's an article about, something that isn't relevant, I feel like it's really creating a footprint. So of course I can't I can't prove that, but yeah.
But also what people miss as well is that, being a big brand, I think is a ranking factor, so if you're a really big brand, and Google has ways of knowing that, maybe from social signals or mentions, unlinked mentions even. But having so much links coming to your website with your brand anchor, which matches your domain, I would say that's a signal to say, whoa, this is a real brand here, because look at all the links coming into this website. So let's give it so much authority or more authority. So whatever they write or whatever they post ranks. So by sort of bypassing this short-term thinking of, I need to link to my stuff with the keyword to make this post rank, it's more of a long-term play of going, let's show Google that we're a real brand. And the surgical links we build, we're going to use brand anchors. So Google knows that we're a real brand. People linking to us with our brand name, not keywords, our brand name. Our brand's bigger than our keyword is the kind of vibe we want to go for. And then long-term, I think that has better ranking benefits because you're an authoritative site. Whatever your topic is, when you write something, Google's got this sort of knowledge graph of you being the brand that everyone's talking about. So I think that's the long-term play with it.
Right. Yeah. And one thing that's been on my mind a lot recently, and I've been testing this pretty extensively, is I think what happens is, let's say you have a brand new website, okay, and you're gonna, let's say they use your service. All right, they're gonna use your service and they're gonna start just driving links to some SEO assets that they created. But let's say those SEO assets aren't that good. Right. So if we're looking at this from the perspective that links are votes, right? So let's say Google out of the gate says, okay, this page is getting links. We're going to push it up the rankings. It's got a lot of votes. But what I believe is once you actually get into the ranking, let's say you get into the top 5, maybe even top 3, you're in a different category now, because now, yes, you've gotten the links, but now I think that Google has to verify that those links make sense. And so the way that I think that could potentially happen is that they're going to look at the user signals, right? So like if you let's say you got 20 votes to your page links, right? But then you're ranking and people are clicking off the page. Yeah. They're not scrolling on the page. Like clearly there's negative signals showing that the page is not actually good. There's a disconnect there, right? You've got all these links, but your page sucks clearly based on user signals. So, do you believe that that's a possibility that they could do that? And if that is the case, like how important is it to focus on the content and not so much on just slamming the page with links? Because really, like if someone just buys links from your service, they haven't actually proven anything. They haven't proven that their content's good in any way. right? Because it's technically artificially driven. So how do we reconcile that?
Yeah, I think the focus should be on being an absolutely brilliant, whatever it is your business model is. Try and be the best at that thing. So if you're, if you're selling something, have the best product, have the best website, have the best user experience, make people stay on your page, have the best content that serves that query. That's the most important thing. More important than links, more important than anything. Because you're right. If you start ranking for something and you don't deserve to be there, then very quickly, it just makes sense that Google would use these metrics such as bounce rate or time spent on page. Um, it would mean that you'll quickly go down the ranks or quickly not be shown anymore if you haven't backed up your position. I think the point is not to make Google look stupid. So if you've built a really bad website, it doesn't it doesn't deserve to be anywhere near the top 3 or even on page 1, and it, everyone knows it, and you miraculously get to page 1, it's not going to stay there for long, or I hope not. I've done it before. I got a website to number 1 for this dating keyword, and it was a horrible affiliate website. It was horrible, and I knew it was horrible, and it was pointless really ranking it, because as soon as it got there, it spent like two days there and then went straight to the bottom. So I think it's right. I think you've got to focus first on your user experience, your product, whatever that is. Even if your product is the content, it's your product still. You've got to make sure it's the best that there is. And then use links as a growth hack. Use links, the surgical link building stuff. If you're buying guest posts or you're buying links or you're doing Harrow, it's a growth hack. You should still be focusing on getting those real links in, creating valuable resource and getting natural links, building out social profiles, getting traffic from social, I think should be a signal. If it's not, because Google want to see, are they getting traffic from all over the place? Are they a real brand? So yeah, I think that's right in what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we running out of time here, but I would quickly want to talk about your personal brand that you're building here. So, okay. Been more recent, right? So you've been kind of developing this kind of personal brand strategy. So what is if you want to share, what is the plan with your personal brand? Is to grow the personal brand, to drive, to build trust and rapport, which then can lead people into Fat Joe? Is that kind of the end goal, or do you just like posting?
Yeah, so it started out because basically I've been on Twitter forever, but I never used to post anything. And then everyone started posting about niche websites and building sites, and I've kind of always been interested in that world. I love the fact that someone can sit in the bedroom and create a website and earn $1, something from nothing. So I started just posting and helping people out with that kind of stuff. I've built a few of my own little niche websites, and I just like the little community going on there. And before I knew it, I was sort of helping people out. I built a tool for niche website builders called Query Hunter, which connects to Google Search Console and shows you what keywords are in your content and what you could improve in your content. And I managed to get quite a few followers. And then at that point, I realized, actually this branding stuff, this personal brand is quite powerful, and it does help with the Fat Joe brand. So now I'm gearing my content more towards agencies and helping agencies out. I think my end goal with it is I want to build a lot of followers who are agency owners or people who work in agencies, and get them basically on my email list or knowing about Fat Joe, ordering from Fat Joe, and helping them with content such as, how to scale your agency, how to outsource properly, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. So what are some, I've seen some of your content is very good. It's very well thought out, well researched. So what are some types of content on Twitter that you've seen really seem to work well, at least currently?
Well, I mean, threads used to work quite well, but they're not really the same anymore. It's just long form posts. I think people sharing what they're building is the best content you can get, because whether it's you're building a niche website and you're sharing your niche, which no one does, you're sharing what you're doing to grow that website. I think that's really popular, and I think that gets a lot of traction very quickly. If you're building out a new agency or a new e-commerce store, whatever it might be, if you're sharing everything and sharing your growth, as it happens, share your wins, share your losses. I think that people like honesty on Twitter or any platform really. I think people like to know who's the person behind this brand. You know, don't speak so much in corporate terms. Don't speak so much in, you know, this formal way. Speak it as a human. You know, if you're having a bad day, say it. If you're upset about something, you can say it. That's what I really like Twitter for. I think it's a bit more raw than LinkedIn. LinkedIn can be very cringeworthy. You know, there's a lot of people posting just their wins all the time, and you know, it's a different world. But I think on all platforms, I think if you're sharing your journey, I think it's a nice way to get trust.
Yeah,
and I think also, sorry, you broke up then, but also off the back of that, I think people will trust your service or whatever you're selling. Even if you're not selling anything yet, when you do come to sell maybe a course or a how-to guide or a tool or something, you know, they trust you more because they followed you for the whole journey.
Yeah, that's 100% agree. Yeah, I've seen some good results from Twitter and LinkedIn. It's interesting though, because it's not a direct conversion most of the time. It's usually some sort of indirect. So usually what I'm doing is I'm posting there with the intent that people are going to go to Google to find the brand, right? So I don't really do a whole lot of like direct CTAs in there because I just haven't found that it works super well. But the way I think about it is like if you're going to create value, like people are going to find you, right? If they want to work with you, they're going to find you. Everyone knows how to use Google. So, and plus you can't link out anyway on these platforms because your reach gets destroyed. So, so anyway, that's kind of my thought process with it. Seems to help. So anyway, so where can people find you? And also, you know, if they want to try out Fat Joe, do you have a little special offer for them?
Yeah. So I know earlier that I said we're not doing any offers or discounts, but especially for you, we're going to do one. If you go to fatjoe.com/gotch, GOTCH, we're going to give you first order for 10% if you want to try us out. If you want to follow me directly, my DMs are open as well. On Twitter is the best place. Fat Joe Davies. That's Fat Joe, Davies. And I'm looking forward to speaking to agencies or people with SEO websites, that kind of thing. So get in touch.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate you coming on, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you. I can't really. You froze.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Sorry for the delay there, but yeah, I'll reach out to you as soon as it's ready to go, and I'll make sure to get the link in there too.
Okay.
All right. Well, nice talking to you, Joe. We'll talk soon. Okay.
I've got you back now.
Oh, you do. Oh, you back? I'm good.
You too. See you later, mate.
Thanks. Bye.